The 2025 season may be over for the most part, but it is time for the bonus round, aka Coaster Christmas at Silver Dollar City. Before I get into that, I am doing a couple mountain coasters tonight, and the first one will be the Branson coaster. I have not ridden this one yet, and I heard this one's not as good as the Runaway mountain coaster, which is the other one I'll be doing after I do this, but I'm still excited to give it a go. So make sure you guys watch the end so you can see how all of this weekend goes.
Come on home. Now this Christmas will be lonely if I'm waiting here alone. I'll stay up a little longer. I deck the tree. I wish you'd just deck me. This ain't
of the Branson coaster, and Ryan had done this one before me. He said it wasn't very good, so I went in with low expectations. I had an absolute blast on it, and even Ryan said it was a lot better than he remembered. The laterals were good, not much airtime, but it was still a lot of fun. Yeah, it was a little short, but overall I still had a great time. Isn't my least favorite alpine coaster. I haven't ridden the Go coaster in Pigeon Forge since 2016, so I don't remember it too well, but of the four I've ridden in recent years that I actually have memory of, that one's my least favorite. But I would still say it is a very solid ride regardless. Now let's go over to the Runaway mountain coaster and see how that one holds up.
Okay. Alrighty.
Made it to the Runaway mountain coaster, and I noticed the line for this is a lot shorter than it was last year during ERT, so I should be able to get on this one fairly quickly, maybe even do it a second time without waiting too long.
This is still the best photo I've ever had on this. Is I'm just sitting there gripping the bars, and I am like 2 inches off the seat in the air. I don't feel so bad. I came up pretty low back. Like right at you. Usually I'm like, right.
She goes, yeah, Casey's right behind him.
Just rode Runaway mountain coaster twice, and my gosh, what was wrong with that ride? This thing might be the most accurately named coaster I've ever seen in my life, because with the way this thing ran, it felt like a runaway freight train. It was nuts. I thought it was really good last year. It was a lot better this year. So yeah, this thing is definitely back in my top 50, and I would say solidly in there too. The first ride in particular, I was fearing for my life because of how chaotic it was. I don't think even Trimlet's Voyage has left me in a state of shock like my first ride on this just has. So every coaster in Silver Dollar City has got tough competition to beat up for best ride of the trip, because my first ride on Runaway was just demonic as heck. So final ride count from this evening was 2 on the Runaway mountain coaster, 1 on the Branson coaster. So now let's jump over to Silver Dollar City and see what's happening over there. I have made it to Silver Dollar City. As you can see, it is bright and sunny this morning compared to the foggy mess that was Coaster Christmas last year. And check out the view. I'm over in the third section of the parking lot, which I don't know what's the sign for it, but we got a really cool shot of Wildfire, Outlaw Run, and Powder Keg over there. I have never gone this far in the parking lot to get photos or videos, so these are some really cool views I have of these rides right here. I might have to come out here at some point and actually film these rides running from here. Now that I'm in the park, I'm headed towards this one location, I think it was the Playhouse, I think it was called, where there's some breakfast going on, as well as a park presentation from Brad Thomas. I'm right here in front of Time Traveler and Thunderation because this is the way I heard a lot of people went, because I got into the park a little bit later than usual because I was outside the park getting photos. Thunderation has had some rumors about it going under for a little while now, so I'm only gonna try and ride it at some point today to see how it's running, because I didn't get a great ride on Adventure Express at Kings Island when I rode that earlier this summer. So as of now, Thunderation is still my top mine train. Currently chilling outside of the Playhouse waiting for Fire in the Hole ERT to begin. Just like last year, there's an hour of extra ride time on Fire in the Hole before the park opens, and I'm super excited to get back on this thing. Rode it 10 times last year, definitely not gonna be able to ride it as much today, I don't think. I'm still excited to get back on this and maintain my streak of riding that every year since it first opened, because I rode it last year when it first opened. ERT is in for another 25 minutes, so we got a bit to wait still. One more thing I gotta mention about Fire in the Hole ERT. There were a bunch of people wearing matching bald knobber hats, which was hilarious. I happened to ride with that group during ERT on one of my rides last year. They're back this year, so that might still though. The fact that those same people are wearing those same bald knobber hats is hilarious. And I saw them, I'm like, oh no, they're back. I already rode it once with them, but it would be cool to re-experience it with them again. Going towards Fire in the Hole now, and I really hope my first ride, and really all my rides for that matter, actually have the soundtrack. My first ever ride on this in August of 2024 had no soundtrack, so that was not good. That was after waiting over an hour through a long breakdown, which we are the first ones here, so we'll be on the first train. Just got first ride on Fire in the Hole for the day, front row. I had an absolute ride on that thing. The audio I was vibing to the whole time, and I was maybe a little too crazy, but I don't care. That thing is just awesome. And since I was in the front row, I did get soaked on the splashdown, which that's to be expected.
It's inside the train at all times. Enjoy your ride.
Two more rides on Fire in the Hole during ERT, the first of those two coming in the back row, and then I did the front row again for my third ride on it for today. Now that the park is officially open, I'm going for Outlaw Run. Out of the RMCs I've ridden, Outlaw Run is still my favorite one. Twisted Timbers is my favorite one I've ridden this year, but I know for a fact that Outlaw Run will beat it because that is in my top 10 still. So let's go over there and take some laps on it and see how it's running. Outlaw Run is down right now, so road dropping it wouldn't have done me any good. Instead, I'm gonna go over and ride Powder Keg, because I know that line will get huge. I imagine it is already huge right now because that's easily one of the most popular rides in the park. Although I wouldn't be shocked to see a lot of people over at Fire in the Hole or Time Traveler right now. So let's see if we can get on Powder Keg once, maybe twice before that line builds up.
Where are you from?
Got 2 rides on powder keg. First ride I was in row 3 because I found out from my mom that they were not accepting row requests, so I didn't even bother asking to wait for the very front. Row 3 was a dud. I felt absolutely nothing on that ride. My second ride though, I actually got extremely lucky in that I was able to get the front row. I got lucky because the ride off assigning rows accidentally put a group of people, aka me and one other person, in row 4 when there was already a line for row 4 and all the other rows didn't have a second trains worth of people waiting. So because of that, they moved me and the other person to the front. So that's how I managed to get a front row ride on it. It would be nice to try it again, but it's not at the top of my priority list. And I have not seen Outlaw Run testing yet, so I'm a little concerned about that one. Just got off a wildfire twice. My first ride I did front right outside. Second ride was back left outside. My last rides on this prior to today were Coaster Christmas of last year, and I thought they were definitely my best rides with how intense and smooth it was running. Today, I can't really say the same, especially on my ride in the front right outside. Not only was it not that intense, but also the rattle was constant throughout the whole ride, so it definitely wasn't very smooth today. Back left outside was a little smoother, but it wasn't that intense. Although I will say the drop was hitting me, so that's really good. Now I'm gonna get on Time Traveler and see how this thing is running. Change of plan, I'm waiting for Outlaw Run to open. The reason why is because the app now says it's delayed instead of closed, which if you ask me, that's a very good sign. I remember when I tried to ride Fire in the Hole for the first time last year, it kept going down because obviously it's a new ride. If it said delayed temporarily instead of closed temporarily, that means they were about to test it and try and get it open. Outlaw Run says the same thing now, and even more good news, there is a train for Outlaw Run in the station right now. There was not a train in there earlier, so some tells me it's worth waiting it out here for a bit and see if they get it open soon.
Assuming our flight doesn't get canceled, I guess going on.
I just found out it's gonna be down for a couple more hours, so that's not a good sign at all. Although I did just talk to a maintenance worker and they said they're gonna be adding a train, but I don't know if that means anything or not. Sure hope it opens though, because I'm dying to get back on my favorite RMC.
That looks pretty empty.
Go to something else, and I find out that Outlaw Run is open. So naturally, I come back over here. And I was not on the first train, but that's okay. I'm still excited to get back on my favorite RMC and see how it runs.
Keep your hands and feet inside the stage at all times. It's gonna be a while. Feet on the floor and your back inside the stage
look at how they massacred my boy. Outlaw Run, what happened here? There's like hardly any trees. That's besides the point though. My front row ride on it just now was absolutely amazing. Great airtime, really good pacing, and if you're wondering why the lift chain is not moving, it is because it is down for technical difficulties. I got stuck on the brake run for, I want to say close to 10 minutes. So that's another coaster I can say I've gotten stuck on.
What kind of fun duration?
Just got off a time traveler, got assigned row 2, which is the front car. The overbank after launch 2, Ryan said is insane. If you face just a little bit to the left of the launch track and you're going forwards on that launch, that was how I was facing that element, and it knocked the wind out of me a little bit. So that very much surprised me as an element that I did not expect to be as intense as it was. The zero-G roll was really good too. The off-axis hill, I wasn't facing the ideal direction for it, but it was still insane. Overall, it was a really good ride, and I would say definitely better than my rides on Powder Keg earlier today. Pretty soon, I got to go to the Wildfire Observation Deck for obvious reasons, because you don't go to Silver Dollar City and not go onto the Wildfire Observation Deck at sunset. So what I think I'm going to do is get footage of Outlaw Run's, I guess, massacred layout, if you will. I was going to do that earlier, but I got stuck on it and shut down for technical difficulties. So let's go do that, and then it'll probably be about time to go onto the Wildfire Observation Deck. it was on my shins. I couldn't.
If the guy, I think if the
While I was over by Outlaw Run, I decided to take my first ever ride on the giant barn swing. And I gotta say, that thing is a lot of fun despite being a very short ride. It reminded me of the max height swings on Joker Carnival of Chaos, and that's not a bad thing since Joker at max height is insane. That being said, I do wish the ride cycle was longer and that the ride itself was taller, but I'm sure I'll find myself at a park with another larger one eventually. I actually realized I could have ridden Finnegan's Flyer at Busch Gardens Williamsburg this summer, but I never did that, so I feel stupid for not doing that, but it was still cool to get my first ever experience on an S&S Scream and Swing. Obviously, you guys can see the lighting. The sun is starting to go down, which means only one thing: time to go to the wildfire observation deck. I did Thunderation and Time Traveler, both of which in the back car. Thunderation was janky and whatnot, which that's to be expected because it's an old era of mine train. And then Time Traveler in the back row is just nuts. That drop out of the station is impossible to prepare for in the back. And I was facing the right direction for the twisted hill, where I was facing down at first, and then I got launched to face upwards, which that's the best way to experience that element in my opinion. And since I did the back row on Thunderation a little bit ago, let's do it up front for good measure.
Please remain seated, keep your hands on the inside, cell phones and cameras put away from the runway.
Recently, I've done night rides on Thunderation, Time Traveler, and Outlaw Run, and all of them were really good. Now I'm gonna take a ride on the Flooded Mine, which I haven't done this in a hot minute, so it's gonna be nice to get back on this. I got off a Flooded Mine, I came back to Fire in the Hole to see if it opened, and it was. I got 4 rides in a row, all of which on the front row, because the front is my favorite seat on this particular Fire in the Hole. Each of them I got soaked, which that's to be expected because the front is by far the wettest seat. And my first one was a Zen ride, so that I believe is the 4th RMC I've gotten a Zen ride on, after Outlaw Run, Air Force 1, Twisted Timbers, and now this. So I would say that my 4 rides in a row on Fire in the Hole were a great end to Coaster Christmas, as well as the great end to the 2025 season for me. Even though on my Zen ride, the audio cut out about halfway through, and then one of my other rides, there was no soundtrack at all. So that could have been better there, but still. 4 rides in a row without having to wait for any of them, including a Zen ride, that's pretty awesome. Something else kind of cool about my Zen ride on Fire in the Hole, this now means I've gotten at least 1 Zen ride on both versions of Fire in the Hole. I got Zen rides on it in 2017 and 2020, and I'm talking about the original. And then I just got a Zen ride on the new one just now, so that was pretty cool. My final ride count from today was 7 on Fire in the Hole, 3 on Outlaw Run and Flooded Mine, 2 on every other coaster in the park with the exception of Grand Exposition Coaster, and 1 on the Giant Barn Swing. In terms of highlights, both of my rides on Time Traveler were awesome, some of the best rides I've had on it in a while, I would say. My Zen ride on Fire in the Hole, just the fact that I managed to get one, even though the ride itself wasn't the best it could have been. My rides on Outlaw Run were also pretty good, and my front row ride on Powder King obviously was another highlight. And also doing Giant Barn Swing for the first time, that was also a really good time. And before I stop this video, please be sure to leave a like if you haven't done so already. Be sure to comment what you enjoyed about this video, and be sure to share it with someone else you may know. If you're new to this channel like we saw, please consider subscribing for more content like this. I'd appreciate you subscribing and turn the bell to get notified every time I upload a new video. I also have an Instagram account for the pictures I take whenever I visit the parks, so you should check me out there as well via the link in the description. Thank you guys again for watching, and I'll see you later.